Hey, Pose Zombie, this is for you. First of all, I should point out that although it will probably seem like I'm doing a bit here, I'm not. I really am this insane when it comes to food. That's why I used to be morbidly obese and why I spent most of my life struggling with that. I've been clean for about 7 years, but obviously I'm still obsessive over food. Just these days, I get most of my enjoyment of foods I don't eat anymore vicariously. So, uh, this is your first omelet. That is an auspicious occasion. I'm honored to be a part of it. And anything that I say, I want you to take as just an example of one of a nearly infinite variety of things you can do with eggs. That's the cool thing about eggs. Eggs are fucking magic. Eggs carry within them an infinite potential for an infinite variety of flavors and textures. So, this is just one way of doing it. The whole point is have fun, experiment, tweak one variable, and then see how that changes the flavor and the texture. Experiment, find your own recipe. Have fun. So, I got my cast iron skillet, and I'm being remarkably restrained. One of my big cooking vices is I'm impatient. I usually cook over a heat that's too high. That's why I usually use the back burner, because it's much less intense flame. But I've got the big burner on a low flame today. So I've already had the cast iron skillet heating up. I've got my cheese and my butter pre-measured. And all right, let's go. So, you want your pan hot enough so that your oil sizzles, but doesn't sizzle so violently that it's like spattering all over the kitchen. And I'd say that's just about ideal. You notice that I'm using a metal spatula. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that if you've got, say, a Teflon frying pan or whatever. That's why I recommend a metal frying pan. Cast iron I find to be ideal. That way you can get a nice metal spatula that will fit the edges of your pan well, and that's important for flipping and etc. So this is important. If you're going to make an omelet, and again, an omelet is just one of an effectively infinite set of permutations. But if you're going to make an omelet, you want a nice, smoothly mixed, fluffy egg. Now, you might use a whisk for that, but a fork serves just about as well. It does approximately the same thing, which is you want to fold as much air as possible into the egg. See how I'm using sort of an oval motion with the fork? With every scoop, I'm folding some air into the egg, and it's getting nice and fluffy. But really the important thing is just get it mixed up fairly smooth, and then pour it in the frying pan. And if you care about making it pretty, which I do a little, I don't care about pretty nearly as much as texture and flavor. If you care about making it nice and round, just tilt it so that it evenly distributes the egg. Now, I'm going to throw in my cheese. You're using Swiss, but right now I'm using feta. And again, this is one of the variations that I talked about. Right off the bat, you can make a completely different animal here based on when you put the fillings into your omelet. I could have mixed the cheese right in with the egg, and that would have made something that, according to Hoyle, might not be an omelet. It might be more of a frittata, more of a scramble, whatever. Now, rosemary, the magic ingredient. I almost never don't include this in my egg dishes. Now, finer point about matching ingredients. I'm using feta cheese, which is very salty, so I'm only going to add maybe a little bit of salt. You might want to add more salt because Swiss cheese is more mild. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper because I have a pretty high affinity for pepper, if you're like me, and I suspect you are, at least like me when I was younger, like you said you were kind of food autistic, you might not want to add any pepper at all, especially since in your case the pepper may overpower the Swiss cheese, which is rich, but it's relatively delicate, so you don't want to put in anything really forceful that's going to overpower that flavor. So I'm going to take a spatula and very carefully, make sure that it's not sticking, and just sort of flip it halfway. Nice. My heat might be a little too high. Yeah, all right. So this is a little thinner than I tend to like my omelets. So, you see that? You see how it's puffing up a little bit? That's the steam escaping as the liquid parts of the egg turn to solid. So we're already well overdue for flipping it, and it's a little bit singed, but well within the range of optimal deliciousness. And again, look for that telltale puffing. When it starts to do that, it's generally ready, depending on how thick it is. I mean, if I had used 3 eggs, I might need to wait for it to puff up a little more to make sure it was done in the middle, but it's done. So there you have it. And again, it's not about anything specific that I did. It's about enjoying the journey, experimenting, figuring out how what you do affects the texture and the flavor of the outcome. Have fun, man.